Hi guys, what's up? My name is Abimbola and welcome back to my channel. It is 1 something a.m. so I need to shoot this video and go to bed. Today people asked me to talk about dating as a celebrity. Let me lay the foundation by saying that I don't classify or view myself or call myself a celebrity. I'm just one of those people that just happen to be popular. But yeah, that's all I'll say. Dating as a celebrity, I guess they were asking me to talk about from my own perspective, right? Dating as someone who is popular, it's not the easiest of things. I think I said this before about how last year I tried to be a bit more intentional, because for the longest time, and I guess I've been popular for about what, maybe 7 years, which isn't long. I just haven't paid attention to dating. I haven't taken it seriously. I have dated, but I mean, I've just always put work or something else over it. And so I never paid that much attention to the pros and the cons and all that good stuff. Living alone and being single in a pandemic, it was real. It was real. And so the need and the desire to have human interaction for me grew, and even beyond that, to just have a sense of companionship grew. And so I decided to try online dating, and that was pretty interesting. I did it for 6 months, and I keep telling people I have no regrets. A lot of people, friends of mine who are also popular, you know, didn't advise me against it, and their reason was because it would be somehow. But then I'm like, listen, people use our pictures every day to catfish. What's wrong with me using my own picture to catfish myself if it came to that, right? And so I joined, and it was interesting. And the population of men that I spoke to were, funny enough, outside of the country. So I remember there was a fellow that I spoke to, and the app that I used was Bumble, by the way. I think I've said this before, but I'm saying it again. And what I found interesting about Bumble was the fact that, first of all, I paid for premium. So I'll first of all ask or advise that, you know, I'll first of all advise that even if you're not a celebrity at all, if you're going to use any dating app, I think you pay for the full service, just so that way it's easier. So paying for premium enabled me to be able to see people who had already swiped on me first. So it was just easier to just pick from there. And that was just the benefits. Bumble was interesting because the woman had to initiate the first contact. So even though he had swiped on me first, the minute I swiped on him, as opposed to other apps, he would know and he'd be alerted. With Bumble, it doesn't alert him until I initiate conversation. And so for me, I didn't mind that. If you've ever been around me, you know that I'm a shy person in person, but once I'm behind the camera or behind the phone, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I just tend to express better. If you meet me in person, I'm really very quiet, because people don't know I'm actually quite shy, especially when people I don't know. I don't try to show myself. I'll just be quiet. Then when I start to feel comfortable with you, which is human nature, and you start to warm up to the person, and you start to be a bit more expressive. And so it's the same thing anyways. But with online dating, it was just more interesting because I couldn't see the person. And so I used to have like a lot of like startup lines like knock knock. Some people had a sense of humor. Based on your response, I'll know how to pivot the conversation, while some people just had dead sense of humor. So there was this particular guy that I've been speaking to, and I think maybe like the first day was pretty okay, and then by the second day he just, I don't understand where the curiosity came from. He just kept saying, you look familiar, and I'm like, I get that a lot. And then he was like, oh, okay, what do you do? And I was like, oh, this is what I do. And when I usually tell people what I do, I'm like, oh no, I'm a filmmaker, I create content. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then that's where it usually ends for some people. We just continue conversations from there. But he was curious, so he said, okay, that's interesting. Where have you worked at? And I'm like, oh, no, just a few production houses. Now, it wasn't like I was scared of giving out who I was. I was just being cautious, right? And so he's like, okay, what's your last name? And I'm like, what this last name? We haven't gotten there yet. Now let's just enjoy the conversation. And eventually I told him my last name. And typical human beings now, especially in these times that we are, you quickly go to Google And so he just came back and he just screenshot and sent me my Wikipedia page, and I was like, oh God. Now if you know me, the minute you do that, I feel like I don't have the upper hand anymore, and I mean that in a good way, because I was just enjoying banter. It was banter. There was no airs, there was no pressure. Get to know me, not get to know me what the internet thinks of me. And immediately he sent me that, and I was like, he was like, oh, so you're famous. I'm like, so they say. I don't rate that. Let's continue conversation. For some reason, for the next 2 days, he just couldn't move past that. Every reference or anything I said, he would reference the fact that, sorry, oh, famous, oh, or all this. Sometimes it felt like a backhanded joke. Sometimes it just felt very unnecessary. And so at the end of the day, the entire conversation just became more about me as opposed to getting to know him. And that just put me off. A few other guys were pretty decent. There were quite a few that when they found out what I did, which usually wasn't always until maybe the second or third week, they were okay with it. There were two that were very unimpressed, which was like a breath of fresh air, and the rest eventually kind of fizzled out. And when I mean fizzled out, I think a lot of people get more caught up with the idea of you being a celeb than you yourself. And so sometimes some people just don't know how to act. And for me, that can be very uncomfortable, because if I'm trying to be comfortable with you, to let you see the side of me, not the side that people think they know about me, but the authentic me, and instead you choose to shell out who you are because you just don't know how to act around me, then that's uncomfortable, because we're not just going to be meeting eye to eye. So those are a few things that I have experienced. I would say that the most occurring one that a lot of my friends as well have experienced is the fact that some guys don't just even give you a chance. So you approached me maybe because you found something attractive about me physically, picture, maybe you saw me in real life or whatever it is, but the minute they find out that there's a certain type of attention on your back, they just withdraw instantly. And I do understand it to a certain extent. I do get it. Nobody who didn't plan to be in the spotlight wants to be in the spotlight, but I think sometimes it can be a bit unfair. And I know somebody behind this camera will be like, but you chose the life. Even if people chose to be popular, it didn't mean that they chose not to be happy. You get what I mean? So I would say this: if you do come in contact with someone who was just a regular person, and you end up finding out the person is famous or popular or whatever it is, I would say get to know the person genuinely, because sometimes we end up doing ourselves just so much injustice by not even giving things a chance. I wrote down some downsides to dating someone who is a celebrity, and I guess the most important would be privacy, and just public scrutiny. But I do believe that it's possible to be able to create the life that you want, even while dating a celebrity. So yeah, there are ways in which you can still have the full experience of being in a relationship with a celeb without the public eye being on it. The public scrutiny is, even if they do find out, the comments sometimes can be a bit jarring because people are not kind. It has been a tad bit lonely, and I guess I'll be lying if I said it hasn't, just simply because there's also the side of the fact that even when people do connect with you, you're a bit worried, or I am at least a bit worried, into the terms of the fact that I don't know if this person is being genuine. So I tend to hold back a lot, because listen, a lot of people are doing a lot of things for some of the craziest reasons, and so you never want to be that person whose emotions were just used and played with anyhow, right? So it's a bit uncomfortable. It's a bit uncomfortable when you hear stories like that, and so because of that, you try not to, but subconsciously you end up being very defensive and very protective. But I would say this: I'm still very open and very optimistic. I never thought I would be this adventurous when it comes to dating, but I've been on a blind date, I've gone on a dating app. So if there are other avenues in which you can tell me to meet people, listen, hit me with it. I believe there's no harm with trying. I'm willing to take risk. I'm not against it. This is real, but the biggest for me is just not wanting to get entangled with somebody who's just out for the wrong reasons, you know. And that's why most celebrities are cautious when it comes to dating, just people generally. And a lot of people always keep asking me, you know, people, you're single, why don't you date someone in your industry? I'm just not interested. I want to date a regular person. I'm being very serious. So yeah, but on a side note, right, when I say regular, you need to come correct, you understand me? I've taken care of myself all my adult life. I'm ready to relax and be taken care of. I'm ready to just chill on a yacht in Dubai in a thong.
I suffered for 19 years. It's time for me to shake my ass on a yacht. In Dubai. In a thong. Wow.
The point I'm trying to make is, it would be nice if you want to date me, please approach me. Just when you're approaching me, just make sure you have some coins. It would just be nice. You understand me? I like to be flowed, to be flown, to be flued. Depending on who you are and how our connection is, I can flood you out too. So yeah, you know, but yeah, don't be shy about it, but also don't be a creep. It's very important. It's very, very important. So yeah, dating as a celebrity is not easy, but it's also been fun. It's not easy because a lot of people don't know how to approach you. Alright guys, so that's my 2 cents on dating as a celebrity and dating a celebrity. I hope this video was interesting and made sense. Let me know your thoughts, share your comments, all that good stuff. Take care guys.